Hello and welcome to this yet another new video in which I'm going to talk to you about a commonly faced problem while communicating with people. Uh, do you face this problem that you often have to struggle with conveying your ideas effectively? You feel as if while you have talked, the question lingering in your mind is, have your audience got it, what you're saying? Is this the question you already have in mind? So let's take a look at some things that you can do, some tips and exercises that can enhance your message delivery. Right? Ready? Wonderful. So first thing, let's quickly understand the effective message delivery. What does it depend on? So there are few things that come to my mind and I'm going to share with you. First, it is about the content. What is it that you're going to communicate? How complex is the content that you're going to communicate? How simple is it? Is it in line with the language, the thinking of the audience? Second thing is, how do you deliver these messages? Do you use visual media, audio media, or whatever? So what are the various ways? And the fourth and most important thing is, have you established a rapport with your audience? Because if you are not able to establish a rapport, you may be talking and technically delivering your message, but your audience may just shut down. If you kind of have an audience and you are not able to open them to receive your messages nicely, then whatever you do, your messages go over their heads, right? So these are the four things that come to my mind. So what can you do? What can you do to overcome these barriers of effective communication, right? So first thing I would suggest is you need to understand your audience, because every communication time, public or private, depends on your audience. Who are you communicating? What is the language that they use? What are the words that they use? Their level of understanding, current level of understanding on the topic, and their experiences on the subject. So you need to understand the audience. And how can you understand your audience? One of the ways I use is that whenever I have to talk to audiences that I am meeting for the first time, I don't start delivering my message right away. I start doing many things. Like first, I try and establish a rapport. Saying nice things like, hello, how good to meet you, how wonderful talking to you, and I'm happy to be here with you to try and talk to you and answer some questions that you have, let's say, on effective communication itself, right? So I try and establish. Now, in doing that, you can do it two ways. You can do it smiling. You can put a very straight face, scowling all the time. Now, obviously, your audience will react positively more when you have a smiling face, right, rather than a scowling face. Also, shake hands if possible, if you can. If you are standing in the podium and your audience is not very far away, walk down, meet them, say hello. And if not possible, then say, hey, hello, how are you? Good to meet you. So use these methodologies to establish rapport. Then what you need to do is to ask them questions. And I picked up from one of the managers in Unilever on a topic. And he came without any, let's say, a presentation to talk about how to establish new business. And I was one of the audiences, and he said, hey guys, I'm here to talk to you and help you learn about how to establish new businesses. So tell me, what do you want to learn? And he went around patiently noting down on a blackboard or a whiteboard. It was a whiteboard, I think, yes. And he noted all the questions down. Now that establishes the rapport. You understand, he understood what we wanted to know. He also understood our language, because once we start talking, we start expressing ourselves the way we would like to. Some people talked in Hindi, some people talked in English. So you need to then you understand your audience in terms of their language, levels of understanding, the questions that they have in mind. So after having understood your audience and established rapport, then you need to quickly structure your content. Now, you can't go back to your room and say, hey, let me prepare a presentation. So you must be quick on your feet and then start answering the question in the way he did. And I have copied that from that gentleman. I still remember he was Sabdhariwal from Unilever. He was one of the product manager probably. And what he did was he said, okay, now let me try and answer your questions. And he said, okay, so what question should I answer? And he kind of picked up the first question that intuitively structured to him. Same thing you can do. You can pick up the questions that you've listed on your screen, on your board, or on your piece of paper and say, oh, let me try and answer this question. And then you answer that question. Once you start answering questions, remember to use, make sure that your answer is not more than 90 seconds at any point of time. Unfortunately, in this lecture, I am talking continuously to you. Am I not? Because I can't physically interact with you. But it'll be good if you're physically interacting with people, online or offline. Then you answer for 90 seconds, 1.5 minute max, maybe 2 minutes max, and say, hey, does that answer a question? So keep your answer short, because people do not have that span of, listening, that large span of time for listening. So they would like to get there and answer to the point. If a question is, hey sir, tell me the most important thing to build a business, and just say what you think is the most important. Don't go beating around the bush, because people get put off by beating around the bush. They would like to know their answer to the questions very quickly. So answer the question quickly in that 90 seconds. Then what you do is, if you would definitely be not sure whether you've answered the question, so express, hey, did I answer a question? And listen. Now, if you get a positive, wonderful, then you can add one more line, maybe 90 seconds again. So deliver your content in multiples of 90-second answers, multiple small bites, and that will make your, delivery far more, in a dialogue manner rather than a monologue manner, and that increases the probability of your communication being understood. So make it a dialogue. Also, while you are trying to deliver these questions in 90-second multiples of 90-second delivery, encourage them to ask questions. The first question I do with a lot of you when I interact physically is, I say, hey, I wait for them to ask question. Always the first question takes a bit of a time. At times it is about a minute of deadly silence when you don't know whether anyone's going to ask questions or not. So the first person who asks questions, encourage it lavishly. Say, wonderful, great. I thank you for being the first one to ask this question. That will encourage the rest of the people to ask questions. And then try and answer as you are answering, try and answer in the words in language that you're using. So hold the process of effective delivery of your messages to make it a dialogue rather than being a monologue. And thanking, encouraging, motivating them to participate in this process of helping you deliver your message effectively is important, and keep doing. So net, understand your audience, understand what they want to know. Don't assume what they want to know. That's the biggest mistake we make. Use the same language, use audios and visuals as much as you can. Establish rapport, make it a dialogue, deliver in 90-second max at a time in multiple, and keep checking whether they have understood, and accordingly keep modifying your answers and thanking them all the time. You do that, I can bet that you would be delivering your messages with lot more clarity, and you will stop struggling by conveying your messages.